Hello students and welcome to English class. I'm your English teacher, Mr. Oza, and it's time for us to take a look at classwork number 83. The novel that we are reading here in term 4 is Siddhartha. And the author of that novel is Mr. Hermann Hesse. Today we're going to look at chapter 9 out of 12, by the way, so we've got 3 more chapters left after this one. The chapter today is called The Ferryman. Same directions that you guys are used to from throughout this unit. You've already done a prediction and a question, so thank you for doing that. You're already watching this video, so thank you for doing that. After this video is over, next step is to read the chapter. The PDF is linked in your Google Doc. Then you've got to write down 2 main ideas. You've got to come up with 2 of your own questions and, of course, answer those 2 questions of your own. And then you're going to do 1 open response. Make sure that you quote the novel or anything else when you write that open response. So let's take a look at the pictures and do a quick preview for today's chapter. So this is Vasudeva, and he is the ferryman. You may remember earlier in the story, as I write his name here, Vasudeva. The meaning of his name is like the god. Deva means God, and Vasu means water, the god of water. And so he is a guy living on the river, and he just brings people back and forth across the river on a ferry. And the name of this chapter, as you can see here, is The Ferryman. So it's really about 5 years passing by, 5, maybe 6 years passing by, with Siddhartha learning from Vasudeva. He's learning the ways of the ferryman. And this, arguably, is one of the most happiest times in Siddhartha's life. He seems like he has finally found peace. He has found a sense of enlightenment living by the river because he's making money a little bit. People pay him to go across the river in the little boat, and he's in a spiritual place in his life. He's thinking about his old religious ways a little bit, but he's also working and has a job and finds fulfillment in that. So Vasudeva is the ferryman, and Siddhartha becomes the new ferryman, as obviously Vasudeva is starting to get a little bit old, and Siddhartha is kind of going to take over that job eventually and kind of become the ferryman of this river. And so about 5 years pass by, maybe 6 years. Of course, the book doesn't give us exact numbers, but one day, Kamala and her son, also Siddhartha's son, they want to cross the river one day. And so they come to the river and they see Siddhartha for the very first time since the son has been born. I'm not going to give you the exact details of what happens. I really don't want to spoil this chapter. I know I've been known to kind of get excited about these chapters and spoil what's going to happen, but I'm not going to spoil what happens. The reason, though, why Kamala and the boy are crossing the river is, if you remember back in chapter 3, Siddhartha learned from the Buddha and learned some of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha is sick now, the Buddha is old now, and the Buddha is kind of on his deathbed. And so many people from all over the area are going over to see the Buddha and perhaps hear some of his teachings. And Kamala, if you remember, she said this in the book, she also said this in the movie that we've been watching during class, saying, one day I will take refuge in the teachings of the Buddha. And so she has a chance to travel to go see the Buddha, and she's taking the son with her. And in order to go do that, they have to cross the river, symbolically and literally. So symbolically meaning moving over to the spiritual side of the river, away from the big city and away from the material side, and like quite literally, in order to get to the Buddha, they have to cross the river. And then, I'm not going to explain the details. You're going to just have to guess, make your predictions, and then read the chapter. This is a snake. This is a cobra, to be specific. A cobra is a species of snake that is, native to India. And here we have a picture of Siddhartha, Kamala, and the son here in the hut by the river. All right, once this video is over, it's time for you to read the chapter. 2 main ideas, please, in your document. Once you're done with those two main ideas, you're going to come up with your own questions, a level 1 question, a level 2 question as usual, and please make sure to answer your own questions. And there is the same video that you might have seen before, a video link in your Google Doc in case you need a little refresher or you need a little help figuring out the difference between a level 1 and a level 2 question. Then it's time to do a quick open response. Make sure that you use a quote from the novel, or like I said earlier in the video, a quote from anywhere. The easiest thing to do would to be finding a quote from in the novel, since you have the novel right there in front of you. But make sure you read those prompts. Make sure that you just follow the rubric. Following the rubric, you'll never go wrong. So make sure that you follow those instructions and use a quote from the novel when you share your opinions on this open response question. So everybody, I want to thank you as always for watching. This is chapter 9. We have 3 more chapters to go, 10, 11, 12. We'll finish next week. I hope you're enjoying the story. And as always, I hope you all have a great class.